the Zombie Story Zone. Dive into the heart-pounding world of survival in our gripping tale, The Last Bridge. Join a ragtag group of survivors as they battle relentless zombies, facing their fears and fighting for hope in a desolate town. Will they find safety on the last standing bridge, or will they be overwhelmed by the undead? If you love thrilling stories filled with action, suspense, and a touch of humanity, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything to us, and we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you want to hear next? Let's embark on this terrifying journey together.
All the music.
The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows over the remnants of the small town of Ashvale. Once bustling with life, it now lay in ruins, its streets overgrown with weeds and littered with the remnants of civilization. But the heart of the town still pulsed with a flicker of hope at the last. Standing structure, a rusted, old bridge that spanned a narrow river. On this bridge stood a handful of survivors, their weary faces etched with determination. They were an eclectic group brought together by desperation. Lucas, a former high school history teacher, had taken on the role of leader. Beside him was Maya, a resourceful mechanic with grease-stained hands and a fierce spirit. Greg, a burly ex-soldier with a scar running down his cheek, kept a watchful eye on their surroundings. Finally, there was Eliza, a spirited teenager whose youthful energy often masked her underlying fear. "Keep an eye on the horizon," Lucas said, scanning the distance where the forest began. "If they're coming, we need to be ready." Maya tightened the grip on her makeshift weapon, a crowbar she had found in a garage. "They'll come, Lucas. They always do." Greg nodded grimly, checking the rounds in his battered rifle. "We've fortified this place as much as we can. If they come, we'll give them hell." Eliza shivered, her eyes wide. "What if we can't hold them off? What if we fail?" "We won't fail," Lucas said, forcing confidence into his voice. "We can't. Not now." As twilight fell, the group settled into an uneasy silence, each lost in their thoughts. The sounds of the night, the rustling leaves, distant animal calls, were interspersed with the occasional groan from the undead. They had learned to recognize the sound of the zombies, a dreadful mix of rasping breath and hollow moans. It was a sound that sent chills down their spines. Suddenly, the stillness shattered. A rustling from the bushes nearby caused them all to tense. Lucas raised a hand, signaling for silence. They waited, breathless, as the sound grew closer. Then, a figure staggered into view, its clothes torn and bloodied, its face a ghastly mask of decay. A zombie. Lucas acted instinctively, raising his rifle and taking aim. But before he could pull the trigger, Maya stepped forward, crowbar raised high. "Wait, it might just be a lost survivor." "Are you crazy?" Greg hissed, gripping his weapon tightly. "We can't risk it. Just let me try," she insisted, her voice firm. The group hesitated, the tension crackling in the air. Maya approached cautiously, her heart pounding in her chest. "Hello? Are you okay?" The figure turned, revealing a sunken face and lifeless eyes. It moaned again, reaching out with decaying hands. "No!" Lucas shouted, but it was too late. The zombie lunged at Maya, and she swung her crowbar, connecting with a sickening crunch. The creature crumpled to the ground. Breathless, Maya turned back to the group. "I thought it might be." "It's never what we hope for," Greg muttered, his jaw clenched. "We need to stay vigilant. This is just the beginning." Night fell, enveloping the bridge in darkness. The air grew thick with anticipation, and the survivors huddled together, their makeshift camp illuminated only by the flickering light of a single lantern. They shared stories to keep the dread at bay, each tale a reminder of what they had lost. Lucas spoke of his wife, Anna, who had gone missing during the first wave of the outbreak. "She always said we'd make it through anything. I'm holding on to that hope." Maya recounted her past as a mechanic how she had built and repaired everything from cars to small engines. If we make it out of this, I want to rebuild. I want to create something new. Greg shared tales of his time in the military, the missions that had pushed him to his limits. But this is different. We're not fighting a war. We're fighting for our lives. Eliza, quiet until now, spoke up. What if there's a way out of here? What if we can find a safe zone? Lucas exchanged glances with the others. There might be, but it's risky. The cities are overrun. We have to stay put until we can gather more supplies. Just then, a distant roar echoed through the night, shattering their fragile calm. The sound grew louder, accompanied by the unmistakable shuffle of feet. "They're coming," Greg growled, eyes wide with adrenaline. "Prepare yourselves." The first wave crashed against the bridge like a tide. Shadows emerged from the trees, their forms twisted and grotesque. Lucas raised his rifle, the tremor of fear racing through him. "Get ready." The survivors took their positions along the bridge, their hearts pounding as the first few zombies stumbled into view. Lucas fired the first shot, the bullet finding its mark with a sickening thud. "Keep it steady," Maya shouted, swinging her crowbar with all her strength, crushing a skull with a sickening crack. "Aim for the head." Greg fired with precision, taking down several more as they approached. Eliza, clutching a wooden plank, swung wildly, the adrenaline making her feel invincible, if only for a moment. But as the onslaught continued, the tide of zombies grew relentless. They pushed forward, climbing over the fallen and dragging others into the fray. The survivors fought valiantly, but the sheer number was overwhelming. "We can't hold them," Lucas yelled, his voice rising above the chaos. "Fall back." The group retreated to the center of the bridge, forming a tighter defensive line. They fired and swung, desperation fueling their every move. Yet the horde pressed on, relentless, hungry. "Lucas, we need a plan," Maya cried, breathing heavily as she swung her crowbar again. "We can't just fight them off forever." "There's a maintenance shed under the bridge," Lucas said, urgency in his voice. "If we can get down there, we might find something to help us. Tools, weapons, anything." "Then let's go," Greg shouted, taking the lead as they dashed toward the access ladder. Eliza hesitated, glancing back at the encroaching horde. "What if we get trapped down there?" "We'll take our chances," Lucas insisted, urgency driving him. "Move." One by one, they climbed down, the sound of groans and snapping jaws echoing above. The shed was dimly lit, filled with cobwebs and old tools. Lucas fumbled for a flashlight, illuminating the room. "Grab anything you can use," he ordered, scanning the shelves. Maya pulled out a rusted wrench, while Greg rifled through a box, discovering a small stash of flares. "These could be useful," he exclaimed. Eliza found a heavy metal pipe, its weight comforting in her hands. "I can use this." As they gathered supplies, the sounds from above grew more chaotic, the zombies' moans mingling with the sounds of wood splintering and metal clanging. They were being overwhelmed. "Let's move," Lucas urged, clutching a makeshift weapon of his own. "We can't stay here." They climbed back up. The sight that met them was a nightmare. The bridge was swarmed, the zombies pushing through the gaps, relentless and undeterred. "Stay close," Lucas yelled, as they fought their way back onto the bridge. The flares Greg had found burst to life, lighting up the area with a flickering glow. "Use the flares," Maya shouted, throwing one toward the horde. It ignited with a whoosh, illuminating the night and causing a wave of zombies to stumble back. Lucas seized the moment. "Now, push them back." The survivors swung, shouted, and fired, fighting for their lives against the encroaching tide. For a brief moment, it felt like they might actually hold their ground. But then, a massive wave of zombies surged forward, knocking Lucas to the ground. Panic shot through him as hands reached for him, teeth snapping mere inches away. "Lucas!" Eliza screamed, reaching for him. In a flash of instinct, Greg lunged forward, pulling Lucas out of reach just as teeth grazed his arm. He stumbled back, grimacing in pain but unwilling to let fear take hold. "Get up," We need to keep fighting. The battle raged on. Each survivor pushed to their limits. The flares continued to light the area, but they were dwindling, just like their strength. We can't keep this up, Maya panted, wiping sweat from her brow. There's too many of them. Look, Eliza shouted, pointing toward the far end of the bridge. There's a pickup truck down by the riverbank. If we can reach it, we might be able to escape. Then let's go. Lucas yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. We make a break for it on my count. They readied themselves, adrenaline coursing through their veins. 1, 2, 3. With that, they